Hey everyone, my name is Danielle Jones. About 2 months ago in February, the beginning of February, I was working. I worked full time as a waitress and receptionist, and I was going to school. Had a very normal life. I had friends, went out, and then all of a sudden one day, I noticed that my left toes just went totally cold and numb, like almost as if you like took off an ice skate and like after you're ice skating, like your feet are your feet are like very cold. And I was like, wow, that's like really weird. Like it's only my left toes. I kept like rolling them around, like trying it. Like I thought it was like a circulation thing. So a couple days later, it spread to both my feet, and the tips of my fingers got really tingly and numb. Like my whole hands went numb. And I was like, oh my god, this is like really scary now. And my balance was very off. So one day at work, like when my symptoms were getting really bad, like I broke down, started crying, I had to go home. So the next day I went to my doctor. And it was like urgent care, so it like wasn't my actual doctor. Went to her, and she said that I had, I'm sorry. Sorry. She said that I had plantar fasciitis and overreactivity to the cold. And I was thinking, that is not what I have, woman, but okay. So I remember Thursday, February 7th, I had to be at work at 7. I woke up to the guy that I had to relieve at work because he worked the overnight shift was blowing up my phone. I shot out of bed. I was trying to rush around and get ready. I was stumbling. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do my own hair. Couldn't even do my makeup. Ran downstairs to my mom, like in tears, crying. She helped me get ready. I went to work. Everyone kept telling me I didn't look good. And when I went to leave, I was like stumbling. And the next day, I went to the doctor. And the minute she checked my reflexes and saw me in a wheelchair and saw that I couldn't walk, she said, "Have you ever heard of Guillain-Barré syndrome?" And I said, "No, I have no idea what the hell that is." And she said, well, I'm sorry, this makes me so tired, I'm sorry. And she said, well, I think that you have it, and there's a specialist at Faulkner Hospital, and I want you to go there right away. So I said, okay. So I had to go home and pick up my mom so she could go to Faulkner with me. So we went there, and they were like, yeah, like you're showing a lot of the symptoms of it. And it was the day of this huge blizzard. And that part of the hospital that makes the treatment and everything wasn't open. So they said, we have to transfer you to Brigham and Women's. I'm sorry, this causes like chronic fatigue. I'm so sorry. So they transferred me to Brigham and Women's. When I got there, they were doing a bunch of neurological tests. Now, I'm a 23-year-old, female, active. I walked fine. I was actually a very fast walker. Everyone would tell me to slow down. And when they're doing the neurological test, I'm walking like as slow as I possibly could just because of my balance. Couldn't lift up my leg to take off my socks. Numb all over. Didn't know what was going on with me. They're like digging like the reflex things into my feet, making me cry. And then this guy came in to the room and told me, I think that this is, in her head and she should get physical therapy and see a psychiatrist. And at that moment, my whole world crashed and burned around me, and I just burst into like hysterical tears because you're laying on that table and you know that something is seriously wrong. I felt like I was gonna die. I'm not kidding you. I felt like I was dying. And I thought these doctors aren't gonna help me. I knew that Brigham and Women's was like one of the best hospitals in the country, and I'm just thinking I'm not gonna get help. Like, I'm just gonna die. Like, what's going on? So they kept me for observation, and I kept getting worse. And sorry, the chief of neurology came in. Before that, a resident came in, and my mom like expressed her concern to her, and she was like, "We're gonna order a spinal tap." So we got a spinal tap, and the results were processing. They told me it would take about 2 hours. So the chief neurologist came in, and he was like, "Yeah, we think you just have neuropathy, like caused by stress, and da da da. We're gonna send you home." Well, not a minute after he walked out the door, one of the resident doctors came in and said, "Well, Danielle, we looked at your spinal tap and we confirmed that you have Guillain-Barré syndrome, and we want to get you upstairs and treat you immediately." So I said, "Okay, like whatever you want. If it's going to make me better, awesome." So I got a room, and they started giving me the treatment, which was the biggest IV bag I've ever seen in my life, filled to the brim. Now, what they do is they take your weight in pounds, convert it to kilograms, and they give you like 0.5 milligram per kilogram per half hour, and then they raise the dose slowly. So they started raising the dose, and I am vomiting profusely. I had a horrible migraine. I was miserable for 2 days. So when I went home, still vomiting, migraine, I couldn't sleep. I woke up every 2 hours. I couldn't move myself. My mom had to turn me every 2 hours. Poor thing had to wake up with me. I was crying in excruciating pain in my head, throwing up. I couldn't eat anything. And just slowly, I just kept getting worse and worse. So I wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to try to do some of my homework. So my mom sits me in the dining room, and I feel this weird twitching at the side of my mouth and like the side of my nose, my left side of my face. I'm like, this is really strange. Like, why is my mouth twitching like that? So I had a straw in a cup, and I go to try to drink it, and something doesn't feel right. Like this side of my mouth was totally numb. And I said, "What is going on?" So I look in the mirror, and I like cried. I started like screaming. And I was, why is this happening to me? Da da da. Like, I looked at my face, and the whole left side of my face was drooping. I was like, did I just have a freaking stroke? Is this what a freaking stroke feels like? Like, I am 23. Like, what's going on? So we called my doctor. She told me to go to the ER. So I go in there. They say, "Oh, you have Bell's palsy. It'll go away in 2 weeks." Awesome. So now, on top of the migraines and vomiting and the slowly taking over my body paralysis, I have Bell's palsy, which caused major pain in the back of my ears, like I cannot even explain to you. So I just slowly kept getting worse and worse. It got to the point where I was totally paralyzed, could not move, could not talk because of my face. The other side of my face was going paralyzed. Couldn't raise my arms past here. Couldn't lift my leg off the bed. I couldn't move at all. So went to the emergency room again, and that time they gave me a 3-day course of the medicine and gave me nausea medicine before, so I wouldn't get like the symptoms as much. And that time I only threw up once, but the nurses had to turn me. I had a commode next to my bed because I couldn't walk. I had to get people to help me stand and shift onto the commode to go to the bathroom. I had to get I got one shower the whole 4 days I was there, and I had to get wheeled in a shower chair. Sorry. I had to get wheeled in a shower chair into the shower and had to have the nurse bathe me, which at that point didn't bother me because when I was home, I had to have people lift me up off the toilet, lift me down onto the toilet. My mom had to bathe me. My sister even had to at one point help me shower. So I was very used to the helplessness and having to be helped. At 23, that's kind of hard to take in that you need people to help you do those things. And then from there, I got the treatment. I was able to stand on my own, not really on my own, with assistance, and able to take a couple steps with assistance by the time I left. But by no means was I about to go up my 13 stairs and live at home. So they sent me to an acute rehab where I would get 3 hours of rehabilitation services, PT, OT, every day. At that point, it didn't bother me to be in rehab because I wanted all the help that I could get. And I was at such a better point going into rehab than I was when I was at home being taken care of by everyone and not able to do a thing by myself. And I knew that at rehab, I would have PCAs and nurses that could help me and knew what they were doing, and that was their job. So, I knew I was going to be well taken care of. Oh, shit. So they told me that I was going to be in rehab for about a month as long as I met my goals. And so I stayed there a whole month. I had to, up until the last, I think maybe 2 weeks, week and a half, I was able to shower myself. But other than that, I needed help because I couldn't lift my arms and I couldn't even open up shampoo bottles. That's how weak I was. And about the same time I was able to shower myself is also when I noticed some of my symptoms are coming back. I had some drooping in my face. And that upset me because I already relapsed once and I thought, oh my God, it's happening again. So by the time I left rehab, I had really sharp pains when I was exercising, when I initiated my muscles, and I kept getting muscle spasms. And they said, oh, that's normal, that's normal. So I went home and I dealt with the when I got home care, I got, the pain when I did my exercises, and it really hurt and it really bothered me. And just I just felt like I was getting worse and worse and worse. And it got to the point where my feet were very swollen, red, burning pain, rash. When I would shower, my feet felt like they were being scorched. And I was in so much pain, I cried, and I had to go back to the hospital. And when I was there, they pretty much told me, like, this is very strange, but we're going to give you the IVIG over 5 days and see how that works for you. And I said, okay, because I did not want to get the plasmapheresis, which is pretty much a blood transfusion that filters out your blood. And so I stayed in the hospital. I got the 5 days of treatment. I felt fantastic afterwards. I had a lot more strength. I was, more independent in my room. My face went back to normal. The doctor said, you look fantastic, da da da. And now I'm home. And since that treatment, actually I forgot one little part where they said that I have CDIP, which is not GBS, but it is chronic GBS, which means I would have this lifelong. I would go into states of remission, relapse, be on like lifelong monthly treatments. Not a good situation to be in, by the way. Kind of, it's almost like MS to a point. A lot of the symptoms are the same and all that. So then I went to my appointment and they said that I could have Lyme disease. My test came back equivocal, which means it's not positive, not negative. And all of these symptoms that I have can be caused by Lyme disease, believe it or not, like nerve and all that kind of stuff. But now I am able to, for the past 2 months, I have not been able to move without a walker. And I am finally able to walk around a little bit without my walker, which is phenomenal. It's like, I can't even describe it. It's like, it's liberating. I feel a lot better. I'm able to do things on my own. And I don't feel like I'm getting weaker. I actually feel like this time I might get better. And on Wednesday, I find out if I get Lyme disease or if I have Lyme disease, and I'll get treated for that. But if I don't have Lyme disease, then they're pretty much saying that I have a really weird track of GBS and that I would stump all the doctors and I'd be getting lots of testing done, and it's just not fun feeling like you're like a little test subject. But that's pretty much my story, and I really want people to be more aware of GBS and CDIP. It is a very debilitating disease. I went from being on no medicine to about 6 medicines, and I have really bad anxiety because of this now, just because of everything that's happening to me and the not knowing, and it's very debilitating. And you can be the most normal, healthy person in the world, but you always have to be prepared. And it really just turned my whole world upside down. But there are good things that came out of it, and there are resources that can help people in my predicament, and I want to make people aware of this. And I want to be someone else's support. I met 2 women in rehab that had what I have, and they were 10 times worse than I was. And they could look at me and say, hey, it can get better. I can be like her and, walk around a little bit. And so I want to be, someone's support, and I want to help people going through this and tell them that it does get better. And as long as you stay positive things will happen. And even if I do have this chronic GBS, I'm going to stay as positive as possible and just keep my head up, because digging your head in the sand and being negative is not going to make anything better. It's actually going to make you worse. Because even though that you have something like this that's debilitating and you're not able to do a lot, believe it or not, it's not going to kill you. And unless you kill yourself, you're still going to be alive and living. And you might as well make the most of it and not just be miserable. You might as well just live. And um, I hope to be someone's inspiration and help someone. So that's the reason that I'm making this blog. And I also have made past videos that I'm gonna post. That's why it might get like a little confusing, but I made videos up until like when I went to the hospital. I have some videos when I was in the hospital, so just bear with me. Just tracking my progress, and I'll keep everyone updated. And I hope I have an answer on Wednesday about what I have. Never thought I'd pray I have Lyme disease, but hopes up, fingers crossed.